Welcome everybody to the last basic guide for everyone today, and this will be the priest. Some may say I've been saving the best for last, who knows? But yeah, the last basic deck I'll be dealing with is the priest deck with basic cards. So let's get straight to it. Let's check out the mana curve. The mana curve really seems to have, it really shows that the priest has a strong early game and transitions to a relatively it depends though. If you dominate the early game, then that would technically mean there's a chance that you'll have a strong mid game, right? But if you're just looking at the curve on its own, it means that you'll have a strong early game, no matter the situation, and it will taper off to an average mid game. But then late game is not looking so great. So really, your late game is determined as to how well you do in the early to mid game stages. If you can establish yourself, establish some board control and a life lead with your healing power, then you should have a decent late game, I guess. But anything's possible for you in the late game. You could still win or lose if you play the wrong cards with any class, really. But I believe that it's hard to rush down a priest. I personally have this belief. Let's look at the reasons why I say so. Holy Smite is a 1 mana card which deals 2 damage to anything. Whether it be hero or minion, which is good for clearing the board of minions, part 1. Part 2, we have power word shield, which gives any minion on your board, which you choose, plus 2 health. So this isn't healing it for 2, but it's increasing its maximum HP by 2. So for example, if you had a Chillwind Yeti which starts with 5, it will be a Chillwind Yeti with 4-7 instead of 4-5. If it takes damage, you can heal it back to 7. It's not a temporary adjust of its hit points, but instead it's a permanent adjust. It has more health if you use shield on it, and you can keep on healing it back to its maximum HP. And since you have 2 powered shields on it, you could potentially buff a minion's health by plus 4 health, which can be insane sometimes. Another card is a 1 mana minion, which has 1 damage and 3 attack, which is really good for a 1 mana minion. And this is the Northshire Cleric, and it has an ability whereby if any minion is healed, whether it's the cleric itself or you heal yourself, not yourself, if you heal any other minion, it doesn't have to be the cleric itself, you draw a card. So this helps you initiate your hand growth, should I say, as you get to draw more cards from your deck to your hand, and you would have more options to deal with the situations that are faced with. Our next card would be Shadow Word Pain, and it's a spell for 2 mana which has the ability to destroy a minion with 3 or less attack. Whether that minion is damaged or not does not matter. It simply goes. So far you can see that the priest has an excellent early game. Really strong. Whenever you face a priest, you have to be really careful as to which minions you play and when you play them. So you have to be careful with that. Swamp Ooze, like I said, a must in every basic deck, as there's no other way to deal with weapons. And since the priest himself does not have weapons, you really want to take care of the enemy opponent's weapon if they have one. Bloodfen Raptor is a 2 mana for 3 damage and 2 health, which is excellent stats and is situationally a must in every deck, unless there's a specific class specific card that you need that costs 2 mana. That's the only time I would say replace the Bloodfen Raptor. Next card would be the Novice Engineer. Novice Engineer, as I've said before multiple times, is a card that has been nerfed. It used to be a 1 damage 2 health card. Now it's a 1 damage 1 health card for 2 mana. But the nice thing about it though is that you have the ability of Battle Cry to draw a card. So the more Novice Engineers you play, the more card draw you have, which is always good. More cards, more options, such as Hearthstone. The next card we'll be looking at is Shadow Word Death, and it destroys a minion with an attack of 5 or more. This is a very, very powerful card. It's technically, even if you were to look at it in other ways, it's a removal spell for 3 mana. This is a very powerful card because you can play, for example, let's see, you could play anything from anything with 5 damage. Let me look for something with 5 damage. 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage. You could play anything from pretty much a Priestess of Elune, anything from there up until Deathwing, and you can destroy it in one card, which is Shadow Word Death. It's a really powerful card, I believe. It's a really good removal spell for anything that has 5 or more attack. But you could counter this, for example, as a mage. Some mages have secrets whereby whenever a spell is played, you have a spell counter which just nullifies the spell, but that's situational. You need to know when they're going to use Shadow Word Death or not. Next card we'll be looking at is Shattered Sun Cleric. Like I said, almost a must in every deck, as it's got the ability to buff enemy minions for 1 extra attack and 1 extra HP, and also it's got 3 attack and 2 damage, which is not good for 3 mana, but the ability to buff an enemy hero, not an enemy creep, sorry. The ability to buff a friendly minion is really good. And also, just to keep in mind that it is a bad card to play on its own. If you're not buffing anything, I would advise you to just hold it until you have something else to buff. You'd rather make another choice. If you see yourself playing this card on its own, chances are you are running out of options, so you should play with caution. Chillwind Yeti, excellent stats. Talked a bunch about this card. Like I said, 4 mana for 4 attack and 5 health is really good stats. It's unrivaled in most basic decks. Gnomish Inventor is a great card for the draw power. If you play this card, you get to draw another card, and it's got 4 health, so you can use it to trade off for any other smaller minions like Swamp Ooze and Raptors and the like. With its 2 damage, it trades really well. Sometimes it can be a guaranteed 4 damage on the board unless it is removed off the board with a removal spell. The Sanjin Shield Master is a good taunt. This would be technically, I think, your only taunt in this deck. So that's why you grab 2 of them to help you secure that mid game. Since we're saying that you have a strong early game and it kind of tapers off in the mid game, so this is why we have the Sanjin Shield Master to try protect whatever creeps you have on the board that survive the early game. Then you can heal them up while the Shield Master is tanking for them. Holy Nova will be your only AoE in this deck, I believe, and it deals 2 damage to all enemies, so that would be the creeps and the enemy himself, and it restores 2 health to all friendly characters. Which means your minions and yourself, which is really good. It's a healing spell, and this works in conjunction with Northshire Cleric, if I'm correct. So whenever a minion is healed, you draw a card. So hopefully, whenever multiple minions are healed, like 3 minions, you draw 3 cards. I would assume. I'm not too sure about that, but you can try it out. Try Holy Nova when you've got like a cleric, a Northshire Cleric, and 2 other minions on the board. Hopefully, you should draw 3 cards. Boulder Fist Ogre, like I said, excellent card, great stats. Stormwind Champion can be used to buff all the other minions on the board by giving them an extra 1 damage and 1 attack, and his stats himself are really great. 7 mana for a 6/6 is okay, not as good as the Boulder Fist Ogre, but the Ogre cannot buff any other minion or itself. And our last card of the deck is what really puts the icing on the cake, and it's Mind Control. And Mind Control simply takes control of an enemy minion, any enemy minion. So if the person played, let's see, if the enemy played a War Golem or a Core Hound, for example, you could easily just Mind Control it and take it, and it's now your Core Hound, and he has to deal with it. So it's a really powerful card, really, really good. So this is the basic Priest deck, and this should call for the end of the basic series guide as to which cards I believe are best basic cards to make a deck of in the beginning as you are getting Hearthstone and starting it anew, I guess, if you're a new player. So these are the cards I hope these guides I've made will help you, and I hope that you get some good wins in, and hopefully with the wins you'll get with the basic decks, you get more gold, and then you go buy packs and actually get cards you'd want to use, which is actually quite good, as it's a gift that keeps on giving. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you've been watching all these videos all this time, I really thank you, and I don't know, maybe I'll have some more Hearthstone videos along the way. Thank you and goodbye.